Hello students! So this week, as you know, we've been learning all about polar bears. We just recently read a book all about them. So this book talks about how polar bears live in the cold, icy Arctic. And what are some of the reasons they gave you? How do polar bears live in the cold, icy Arctic? Take some time to discuss this with a friend. Ask them, what did they have to tell you? Pause the video if you need some time to think about it. So what are some of the ideas you and your partner came up with? How do polar bears survive in the cold, icy Arctic? You may have come up with some answers such as they use their fur, or they cover their bodies in the snow to help keep them warm. Well, for the purpose of this activity, we're going to focus on how the blubber inside of a polar bear helps polar bears survive in the cold, icy Arctic. So to help give you an understanding of how the polar bear's blubber works inside their body to help them survive in the Arctic, we're going to complete the polar bear glove activity. So for this activity, we'll need a few things. This includes paper towels, Crisco, a large Ziploc bag, a small Ziploc bag, some ice. Now this doesn't look like ice, but it is. This is covered plastic around water, which when you freeze, it turns into ice. For this activity, if you choose to use regular ice, you may. A bucket, and you'll also need water, which I will get later. So to start off the polar glove activity, first you need to have your bucket. Fill it about halfway up your bucket, so if you bump into it, it won't automatically spill everywhere. Then you'll add some ice to it. I have both regular ice as well as bagged ice. This will make the water extremely cold. Now this is where the fun stuff starts. This is when you're going to use your Crisco. What you're going to do is you're going to take the smaller Ziploc bag, place it around your hand, then take the spoon and scoop out some Crisco. You're going to lay it all around your hand. It doesn't have to be too thick, but thick enough to resemble at least part of a polar bear's hand. So I'm going to keep on scooping mine out and laying it over the top of my hand. It might be kind of messy, but that's okay. You know, science can be messy. It's supposed to be fun. And in case you haven't guessed already, make sure your parents are okay with this activity before you start. Once your hand is covered, you're going to take the large Ziploc bag and place it over the smaller Ziploc bag and the Crisco. So why are we putting Crisco around our hand? What does that mean for a polar bear? Well, in this case, Crisco represents the blubber inside of a polar bear. The blubber, if you remember, is what keeps the polar bear so warm. So in this case, you are using Crisco to stand for the blubber inside of a polar bear. So now I want you to place your hand back inside the water before it was really cold. So I want you to think about what it might feel like this time when you put your hand in the water. No way! The water doesn't feel cold anymore. I can barely feel it. It feels like almost as if the water's not even cold. Why do you think that is? Well, the Crisco represents the blubber inside of a polar bear. Polar bears don't really get too cold in the Arctic. In fact, sometimes they get too warm. I wonder if that's why I can't feel the cold water right now. I'm wearing blubber myself, or Crisco, so so I can't really feel how cold the water is. So I hope you had some fun with this activity. I know I sure did. Science is actually one of my favorite subjects to learn about because you can always have really cool experiments to learn more about the things you're already fascinated about. In this case, we learned more about polar bears. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.